right, ladies and gentlemen of the press, fellow partisans, supporters, Liberians in general, welcome to this press conference. This conference will be addressed by the Secretary General of the Unity Party, Honorable Amos Tuai, and Mr. Mo Ali, the spokesperson of the Unity Party campaign 2023. The conference will mainly cover situations in Foya, Lofa County. I now have the honor to invite to this podium Mr. Amos Tuai, Secretary General of the Unity Party, to address you.
Thank you. Good evening, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, fellow Liberians. I'm here along with the National Campaign Spokesperson of the Unity Party Alliance 2023 campaign. We've come this evening to inform you about a very sad incident that occurred this afternoon in Foya, Lofa County. As you may well know, a few days ago, Mr. George Weah and his campaign team left from Lofa County. And while they were in Lofa, the Unity Party informed our partisans and supporters of the rescue mission to keep off the streets, to allow Mr. George Weah and his campaign team conduct their campaign without any disturbance. It will interest you to note that the Unity Party a few days ago announced the visitation of our standard bearer, His Excellency Ambassador Joseph Nyuma in Bon County and Lofa. The trip to Lofa by His Excellency Ambassador Joseph Nyuma is supposed to be Sunday, the 1st of October 2023. In anticipation of the arrival of His Excellency Ambassador Joseph Nyuma, citizens of Foya County, residing in the United States of America, came down in Liberia to participate in the promotion of the presidential bid of Ambassador Joseph Nyuma. So they've been here in Monrovia for the last few days. Today, citizens of Foya should have arrived. Today was planned for them to arrive in Foya. So while they were on their way to Foya, the local citizens of Lofa County, Foya specifically, rallied themselves to go and welcome their sons and daughters residing in the United States of America into Foya to plan several events in anticipation of the arrival of His Excellency Ambassador Joseph Nyuma. While the local citizens of Foya were on their way jubilating on the different streets in Foya County, they were on their way to a specific area called Shiloh Junction. So while on their way to Shiloh Junction, it is our understanding that one or two of our partisans who have motorbike, one of the motorbike experienced some problem. And then along that road, it is our understanding that the resident of Thomas Fala, one of the candidates in the Foya district for the representative seat, has his residence right close there. So one of our partisans' motorbike had a problem, and then while they were there trying to fix the motorbike to continue their journey to Shiloh Junction, we saw a group of supporters of Thomas Fala coming from the fence of Thomas Fala to ask why partisans and supporters of the Unity Party were around there, as if people were prohibited from either standing around or passing by Thomas Fala's fence. While they were in the process, those group of supporters supporting Thomas Fala in the CDC started throwing unnecessary jabs and engaging in all kinds of provocations on our partisans. In that process, a number of them came from there. Those specifically that came from the fence of Thomas Fala, it is our understanding, had the LIS uniform on. And while they were having LIS uniform on, some of them had CDC, written behind the uniform. And then while they were exchanging words, stones started coming from Thomas Fala fence to our partisans to disrupt or disturb, their band and while they were moving towards Shido Junction. While in that process, is our understanding, we're credibly informed that the police commander in Lofa County, in Foya, Besa came from the fence of Thomas Fala, along with one of the police aides, and then in his attempt to either quiet down or exacerbate the situation, he shoot live bullets amongst partisans or supporters of the Unity Party. And in that process, one of them died, unfortunately. So the situation exacerbated to the extent that it even became overly explosive. So we are here to inform you, fellow Liberians, and our diplomatic community, that you recall 2 years ago, you saw pictures of militias or militants being trained by Thomas Fala from Lofa County, specifically in Foya. That training that occurred, it was in anticipation of this 2023 legislative and presidential elections. You will also recall that there were, pictures were circulating on social media specifically. The CDC could not deny that. Sadly, we are witnessing what appears to be an effort on the part of the CDC in Foya to make it appear like Foya County is a toxic ground for the arrival of His Excellency Ambassador Joseph Nimabwaka. But on the contrary, partisans, supporters, sons and daughters of Lofa County are in high gear to receive their uncle, their father, and their son. So while that process, the Unity Party standard bearer was on his way from Bon County to go to Foya, the CDC has a plan to make Lofa appear to be a toxic ground. This is the reason why we have come to call this press conference to inform you, fellow Liberians, that the CDC has now engaged in not just violent provocations, but what we heard about 2 years ago, that there will be intimidations, there will be harassment, and possibly elimination of partisans and supporters of the Unity Party. That's exactly what we witnessed today in Foya. It is very sad, and we want to call on the attention of the international community. We have several recommendations here, but I will allow my colleague, the spokesperson for the Unity Party, Alliance 2023, to pick up from here, and after which we will come up with some recommendations, and thereafter we can now entertain questions and answer more.
Thank you, Mr. SG. From the standpoint of the campaign, it is clear that the police were in the know that today is a Unity Party day in Foya. They were duly informed. When yesterday, when the CDC had their event, like the SG stated, we asked our partisans to keep off the street in Foya because we didn't want any commotion. The second point is, Foya had always been a very peaceful ground. It has always been a very peaceful district in Lofa County until the introduction of Thomas Fala into the local politics. He has introduced violence in Foya. He has introduced arms. He has introduced what we call the politics of intimidation. Because Thomas Fala has realized that he, under no circumstances, can win in Lofa County anywhere. After he instigated the violence and instructed the police officers to shoot live bullets amongst our supporters who were going to jubilantly receive their cousins, their brothers, their sisters from the US who had come down to campaign for Joseph Waka in Foya, he hastily left Foya district this afternoon because the citizens are angry. It is by the special grace of God and the leadership exhibited by the party and the campaign that our supporters were able to restrain themselves. We have people wounded. We've seen videos of somebody who was stoned on the head. We've seen videos of someone who got birth. We've seen video footage of one of our supporters who was dragged into Thomas Palace fence, an elderly man, and he was brutalized very severely. It is even reported that that elderly man is dead. And I said reported. We are waiting for medical confirmation. But these events are happening because the CDC is refusing to live up to the rules and the regulations of campaign. When they are in the streets, we do not get there. When we are in the street, they get there. You know, these are two rival parties. Once the UP is there and you come out, it's going to cause trouble. Besides that, to question our partisans, what they are doing at the particular location. Are you security? Did you determine any violent act? Were you instructed by the police? We've determined that this police officer is a sedition. He was under the instruction of Thomas Pala to create mayhem on our partisans. We want to inform you people, the press, that the UP is a peaceful party. Our campaign has been peaceful. The CDC is the one that has been taunting us from the very beginning of campaign. We'd like to remind you about the CDC toting casket bearing the pictures of our standard bearer. We also want to remind you about the CDC attempting on the lives of our standard bearer when he was scheduled to go to our campaign headquarters and name his final campaign list. They attacked our partisans. They went to our campaign headquarters and stoned our partisans and our supporters. This act is continuing. Like the SG said, we have made major recommendations, and I'll give him the time to come and put forth our recommendations.
Thank you, Spokesman Mo Ali, for helping to lay out the situation that occurred today in Foya, Lofa County. It's important that we continue to emphasize as a party our commitment to uphold the Farmington Declaration. Nobody has monopoly over violence. It's important to keep stressing this. The CDC continue to push us to anger, engaging in violent provocations, and you Liberians are witnessing that. Like Mo indicated, on August 5, imagine a ruling party parading the street with a casket bearing the picture of a major opposition political leader. You know what that means? In other countries, probably the whole country by this time will be upside down. But it's because of the maturity of the Unity Party. That's the reason why you see that we're still maintaining calm. But Liberians, we want you to be aware that we're continuing to be provoked. The second point before we come up to our recommendations, we need to emphasize the fact that when the CDC went to Lofa County, we told our partisans to stay off the streets, the various towns and cities. And you realize that CDC had their rallies across Lofa County with no embarrassment, no altercation, no provocation. Again, it's because of the maturity and responsiveness of the Unity Party. Imagine our standard bearer about 2 days from now will be moving to Lofa. You know, look, if you saw the crowd today in Foya, how is it possible that Unity Party will be the one? We came outside in anticipation of the arrival of the sons and daughters, cousins, nephews and nieces of Foya residing in the United States of America. Then it will be the same Unity Party that will engage in violent provocation. That's a contradiction. So it is actually the CDC that continues to unabatedly engage in these violent provocations, which is exactly an attempt to undermine our democracy and the credibility of these elections. The last point, you recall 2 days ago, the United States government came up with a visa restriction policy on individuals who will be said or will be identified to be key underminers of our democracies and these elections. They also indicate caution that people who will want to attempt to rig the elections, the visa restriction policy will be imposed on them. Let me say to you, we have identified one of them with the situation that has occurred in Lofa County. Thomas Fala is the one solely responsible for that violent provocation that has led to the death of citizens of Lofa County. This is the man who wants to be representative for the people of that particular Foya district. But he's the one now instructing people to shoot down innocent and unsuspecting citizens. These are our recommendations. We thank our international partners for paying keen attention on the elections, for helping with resources to conduct free, fair, transparent, and credible elections. But we want to emphasize the point that our international partners need to pay keen attention to Foya, Lofa County. That place is becoming a hotbed for violence, particularly instigated by Thomas Fala. It's also important that we emphasize the point that we need, as a party, we want an independent investigation to be conducted in the situation in Foya. That independent investigation, of course, it should comprise of individuals who are non-partisans of the CDC. It's also important that we emphasize the point that Besa, the police commander in Foya, should be relieved of his current position. We want non-partisan police to go in Lofa County, to go in Foya, and man the activities of these elections. Besa is disappointingly compromised. Imagine the man was in the fence of Thomas Fala, and on the instruction of Thomas Fala, he came and shoot live bullet, and that led to the death of innocent Lofian, the Lofa people that Thomas Fala wants to represent.
Commander Besa should also be a subject of investigation.
Yeah, a subject of investigation. He's compromised, and he is actually the main person who created the condition for the exacerbation of the situation in Lofa County. So,
no, I mean, those are the recommendations.
So these are our recommendations, and so probably we'll now allow you journalists to ask questions. Again, this is not the party. When they're holding press conference, you're shouting all over the place, Amanda, Waitu, and so on. We are a responsible, mature political party. We're going straight to the point to inform the citizens of this country that in spite of the attempt by the CDC to make it appear like there is some intoxication in Lofa County or the environment is not conducive, we are pleased to inform our partisans that Ambassador Joseph Liman Boakar will enter Lofa County as stipulated. And we want to use this occasion to extend our deepest sympathy to the bereaved family, to families whose children or relatives die as a result of the violent provocation instigated by the CDC.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. So you can just raise your hand, we'll recognize you.
Well, my name is Yanti Tokwa, I report for OKF and OKTV. Well, basically, there are photos circulating on the social media. One, a group of individuals marching on the street of Foya, wearing red t-shirts. So they are saying that this group of people who are marching belong to the Unity Party, for which they think that these are the people who orchestrated the violent situation. And then number two, apart from with those who reportedly they've been announced that they've died, have you been able to establish whether this group of people belong to the Unity Party that maybe that died as a result of the situation in Foya? What have been the status of other partisans who perhaps sustained one, maybe reportedly? Have you been able to establish so far?
Let me address the second question quickly. Unity Party is for Liberia and Liberian people. We get very concerned when a person, a Liberian, is killed in such a form and manner. We are not concerned about whether it is a Unity Party partisan or not. Our belief, our creed, our value is that no Liberian should be killed in such a fashion through violence instigated by a political party. That is the reason why throughout our campaign we would not get involved into any form of violence. We are in touch with the medical people, medical personnel in Foya. They will confirm the identities of those who unfortunately met their untimely death in that instance. And again, like the Secretary General stated, we are celebrating the coming of partisans who've joined us from the US to campaign for their standard bearer. They were in joyous mood. I don't see how, and it defies logic, for somebody who is celebrating will be the same person to instigate violence. Instigate violence against who? The people that were coming to celebrate with them, to campaign with them. So we have the right, we inform the police, our campaign informed the police that we will be in the streets of Foya. So if there were only United Party partisans in the streets of Foya, then they started fighting among themselves. It's not possible. Let's see what true light.
Yeah, so it's not possible, but it's also interesting to let you know, or maybe remind you, Nyanti, Unity Party has 3 colors. Yeah, they green, white, and brown.
That may appear to be red when people see it on screen.
On screen. And on top of that, you know, during the launch, or before the launch of our campaign on September 17th, there were rumors all over the place. I think it was our spokesman who broke that news, that they were playing by CDC.
Yes, definitely.
To print T-shirts.
T-shirts of Unity Party.
Of Unity Party, to disturb, you know, the rally. So who knows? This could be part of the grand design by Thomas Fowler and his legs to make it appear. How is it even possible that our partisans who have gone jubilant to jubilantly receive their sons and daughters who have come to promote the presidential bid of Joseph Walker will be the same people to turn against themselves? What logic is that? You know, what logic is that?
Next question, please.
Yeah, my name is Aaron Kuban. I report for Spoon TV. I want you to give me a precise number of how many persons so far, from the party standpoint, you receive information, how many persons so far lost their life in the violence. And another thing is that there's a video on the social media which people wearing the Unity Party stickers on their shirts involved in violence, hitting on someone who it is believed that that person died also in the violence. Have you received any information whether those were actually United Partisans? Because you just stated there were plans by the CDC to infiltrate some of your rallies. So we saw that video, and this first question is, how many persons so far lost their life based on the information you have?
That spokesman indicated to you, we're in touch with our partisans. News are still popping up. As new filters in, we will continue to update you. But so far, that is the information. And on the other question, look, again, we continue to reiterate to you. It is not possible that Unity Party will organize a program, then Unity Party start to turn against itself. It's certainly not possible. There are, of course, in some instances, it depends on the level of provocations, you know, and anger and so on. Somebody who have attempted to retaliate in defense of their lives, you know, in defense of their lives. So, but what we're saying, the root, the logic here is that this violence, like August 5, and when JNB was naming his final campaign list, it is the same playbook that the CDC is implementing a strategy in. This violence was instigated by the CDC, and we have given you, we have outlined the step-by-step description of how it started and how it ended, to the extent that the Foya Police Commander, Besa, who is supposed to be a neutral person that should ensure law and order in the country, especially in that part of the country, was the one who exacerbated the situation that led to the death of individuals.
Yeah, my name is William Howard. I work for Cool 91.9 FM in Painesville. Do you mind telling us the exact part of where you said this contributed to the violence today? What was its exact role play? Maybe from footages you received, one, and two, you reaffirmed the former VP's visit to the county. Don't you think as a peaceful party, according to you, you've been engaged with the observation of the Farmington River Declaration? Don't you think in your mind it's peaceful enough to reschedule the former vice president's visit?
Let me start with that. Let me start with that. We are in a very crucial campaign. Today is the 29th. Campaign ends on the 8th of this month. So you asking the question, of October, like this is exactly what the CDC wants. Instigate violence in Lofa so that the standard bearer of the Unity Party cannot go to Lofa to campaign. No. There is no way possible that JMB will not go to his people to talk to them. That is impossible. We will be clear. We do not engage into violence. That is the reason why at every step along the way, the police and the NEC, the Elections Commission, are informed about campaign activities in a particular location. They are informed. Now to the part where Commander Besa comes in, we told you vividly at the point where one of the riders had a breakdown on his motorbike. Our partisans stopped to help him get his back on to move. People from Thomas Palafens, and I will say very clearly, the militias that he's been training came from his pen to attack our people, claiming that they should not be around that vicinity, as if to say Thomas Pala has now bought the streets in Foya or around this area. Even here in Morovia, when we campaigning, we pass before every party headquarters. If you are aware, when they throw the casket, they even brought that casket right at the Unity Party headquarters. We did nothing. When we are having activities in our party headquarters here, they put sets across the road and play loud CDC music. We do not tell them anything. When they started stoning our people from within Thomas Palace fence, while our people were trying to retaliate, the police commander, Commander Besa, came from in Thomas Palace fence on the instruction of Thomas Palace and shot 3 times. First in the air, the second in the crowd. 2 times in the crowd, 1 in the air. That's where he created more problem. It is alleged that he is responsible for the death of, I think, 1 person, Commander Besa. That is the reason why we say he is a subject of investigation. He should be a subject of investigation into this matter.
Finally, from
okay, so yeah, my name is Anthony Tamma, and I work for Joy Radio. I'd like to know, campaign ends on the 8th of this month, next month, sorry. And today we're discussing Lofa County. Are you sensing a very tense election process?
Look, the CDC is making it appear tense because they lost the confidence of the citizens of this country. Prior to the elections, we know that the CDC conducted about 2 surveys, and all 2 surveys proved that they lost absolutely the confidence of the Liberian people. That's why you see the 50 million budget is actually true. So they want to use money by all costs to win the election, rig the election, do anything for we are to be re-elected. So that's what they're doing. They're making it appear tense. But the Unity Party, being a very mature and responsible political institution, will continue to act within the ambit of the law, including upholding the Farmington Declaration. This is exactly the reason why you see us here, informing you Liberians about what occurred today and providing recommendations. If we are a violent party, we wouldn't be doing this. Probably you'll see us sending mandate in FOIA to do anything for that matter. But we told our people to be kind, and we're thankful that we have a leadership that is very mature in Foya. So as we speak, the environment is a bit calm as a result of the maturity of our leaders in Foya. And of course, the communication, free flow of communication, the coordination that we are doing along with them. So it's the CDC.
So I have a final question, sir. All this is happening in the midst of unquote propaganda being used against your party that the former VP used threatening statements recently, and today this is happening. Pundits are using it, or the guys on the other side of the competition are saying that they are using this as a campaign against you. Do you mind, for the public, you've been emphasizing this numerously, for the record, what was the exact word by the former VP to the media?
We interpreted the VP statement.
They are still using it.
So that's go and see what the Unity Party stated.
Yeah, let me say this, right? Firstly, the media, those media entities that play the video or the voice recording, they first made it to appear like the former vice president, the standard bearer of the Unity Party, made that statement on his recent visit to Basel. Other media entity, and I'd like to say thank you to the stage media, came out and disproved them. The statement was made as far back as June 10th, when you are going on some rally, I think it was in District 16. And the statement was, if these people get re-elected, it's the end of this country. Did he mean conflict? Did he mean war? No. He went further to say that they are destroying the future of Liberia. They are stealing, and that's why we must kick them out. We must protect our votes. And you, if you're speaking to the citizens, will not sit here and allow that to happen. Now you are a reporter. You guys are all journalists. We are not English people, but at least we did small in school. If somebody say if, which is a conditional phrase, if I told my SG, if you slap me, I will slap you back. If the SG does not slap me, will I have any right to slap him back? No. Where is the violence there? When he was squarely referring to the manner and form in which the country has been governed over the last 5 or almost 6 years. There is nothing working in this country. To the extent that the president who says he's a bad road medicine will go on a road and have to get down from his presidential convoy to help to push his car from in the mud. Those are some of the things. You sat in this country, they brought $140 million worth of drug. They arrested the wrong people and put them on trial, while the main culprits were allowed to escape. Those are some of the things. The future of the young people is being destroyed systematically by this government. Those are some of the things the vice president was talking about. 6 years down the line, this country is more destroyed than the war years. The only thing you see absent are bullet marks from the buildings and structures. Human beings die in the street from bullets. You give it to them for 6 more years, you'll be so hungry that you will not have time to stand over there to ask one question.
That's exactly the context you're speaking from here. So finally, let me just say thank you. Again, as a party, we will remain loyal about it. Even in CDC's attempt to push us to the wall for retaliation, we will not do so because we believe we too owe it to this country. And that's exactly the reason why we are telling you Liberians that the best person to serve, to provide leadership for Liberia is His Excellency Ambassador Joseph Boakai, a peaceful man, a humble man, and someone who wants to provide the right direction, upliftment of you, the citizens of this country. With CDC violent provocations, we will restrain them, but we will ensure that we work with other stakeholders to the extent that these elections will be conducted. George Weah will not be retained as president of Liberia, democratically speaking.